Well, hello, good morning, and welcome back to Here Today, Where Tomorrow. My name's Rob, and in today's video, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into my recent time aboard the MSC Magnifica. So the way I'm going to split this video up is kind of embarkation, the ship, the food, the entertainment, the staff, ports of call, and debarkation. Then we're going to talk about maybe versus some other MSC ships, because this is the third MSC ship that I have done. And then maybe compare MSC to other cruise lines. That's a big topic of discussion. And then each of these categories, I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you the things that I liked, loved, learned, didn't like, etc. Of each of these things. So let's start from the top. All right, embarkation. So what about embarkation MSC? So we're going to, I always say don't do this, and then I did it. So slap me on the hand for doing this. I flew to Miami from Nashville the day of the cruise. I always suggest people do the day before, but we were trying to keep this cruise cheap. During the month of December, it was $100 per person for 3 and 4 day sailings. It was super cheap. So we also wanted to mimic that with the travel, and it was cheaper for me to fly in super early the day of than it was the day before, get a hotel, etc. So decided to bite the bullet. We weren't leaving till like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and my flight was at 5 a.m. So there was plenty of time, and the weather was good. It's not a very long flight from Nashville to Miami, so I felt okay enough to do that. So I did fly in the day of the cruise. I did book a transfer through MSC from MIA, the airport, to the port of Miami. And that was super simple. Now, some people don't know where to find that. Most of the time in your cruise itinerary, there is excursions for the day of your cruise and excursions for the day you get back. Debarkation, de-embarkation, disembarkation, whatever you call it, potato, tomato, potato, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew, whatever your flavor of the week is, there are excursions. And usually those excursions on both sides, embark and debark, are transfers through the cruise line. So I booked a transfer through MSC. They ask you, what's your flight number, where are you arriving from, your arrival time, etc. So when I arrived at MIA, Miami International Airport, and went down to baggage claim, there was a slew of kiosks from all the cruise lines with people there, but then also people with clipboards and notebooks and all this stuff walking up and down baggage claim. And lo and behold, I found my baggage claim, and there was an MSC employee there holding a notebook. So I spoke with him. Hey, I booked a transfer. What's your name? Rob. Here you are. Here's your sticker. When you get your bag, come find me and we'll get you headed. So 2 minutes later, the belt started moving. I grabbed the bag. I'm here. She took me and one other passenger to a van, and we were off. It was super early, so we did run into some traffic, but it was really a super easy 20-minute drive. We're in a van that fits 12 people, and it was me and one other solo passenger. So we get to the port. We get out of the van. I immediately am greeted by someone to grab my bags at the terminal. I always tip them. They get paid a lot of money, so don't feel like you have to tip them. However, how would you like to be slinging your guys' grossly oversized and overweight suitcases all day? Maybe you give them a couple of bucks. So I usually do between $2 and $5 per bag. So usually it's about 10 bucks. Now that Madison's a little bit older, we actually have another suitcase for her. So there'll be about 10, 15 bucks will be handed out, etc. Always bring cash for your cruise. Always. Whether you think you're going to spend money or not, regardless of the denomination or type of currency, tips are always appreciated. I really think it's less about the denomination and more about the thought. So always bring cash. And then what you can always do is, if you have cash left over, just put it on your Sail and Sign account, and that'll just go towards whatever balance, whether that's your hotel charges or service fees. They call them a lot of different things depending on your cruise line, but your gratuities, prepaid gratuities, or hotel charges, etc. They're all basically gratuities. You can pay that balance down before it charges your account at the end of the cruise. So anyways, So I'm at the terminal, I've just handed off my bag, I turn around and I'm immediately greeted by my Facebook friends. Now, if you have never been a part of a Facebook group for a cruise sailing before, I highly suggest doing so. I cannot stress this enough, how super fun that was. I was technically the admin for this specific Facebook page, which was interesting because I booked like 5 or 6 weeks before the sailing. So like, I booked super late in comparison to most people that book cruises. And yet there was nobody that had made a Facebook page for it. So I made a Facebook page and started drumming up some people popping up here and there because they're also going on this specific sailing. And I started posting questions and I kind of, because I had done this itinerary before going to Ocean Key, not Nassau, but going to Ocean Key, kind of gave a little bit of information about what the best way to experience Ocean Key is from my point of view, from my experience. So be starboard side. That way, when you pull up to the island, because you back in, you are looking over the island the entire time that you're there, which is an absolutely gorgeous view. You can see the lighthouse party if you're doing the overnight. It's super great to just sit out there and watch the island morning, noon, and night kind of thing. So I gave that information, which many people took and rebooked or removed their cruise room to the starboard side to have that. And we're very thankful to me on board that we did it, and we're so glad we did because we had this awesome thing. We were there in line, we're all talking and chatting, getting to know each other, some of which we've talked for the last few weeks as we were getting ready for the cruise. And then I saw these people throughout the cruise. So Embarkation was an absolute hit. It was a group of friends that have been talking for the last 6 weeks since I started the page, and now we see each other, and now we laugh, and we get to hang out with each other. And it really gets rid of that, like, how do I make friends on a cruise if you're a solo cruiser, or how do you make friends just in general as like a family, you know, you find other people. Everyone's on a cruise ship has a lot of like-minded things. You like food, you like the open ocean, you like exploring, you like experiencing some little bit of culture, etc. So you're in the same boat with a lot of people, metaphorically and physically. It's a ship, not a boat. A boat, a ship. A boat goes into a ship. A ship can't go in a boat. Okay, whatever. Okay, we get it. You're in the same boat metaphorically with these people. So it is easier to make friends when you guys are literally doing the things that you all like doing together. So Embarkation was great. It was super smooth. We were there super early. They opened the doors super early. Obviously, when the ship comes in the morning, it's releasing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 passengers. Once they do all that and start cleaning, then they can start letting more passengers on. We were lucky enough that all the passengers were off, we were cleared, everything was great. So they opened up the floodgates immediately and we walked right through the terminal. I mean, slowed down at security for half a second, went right into the terminal. Once we passed security, I immediately walked up to an MSC employee, checked right in, here's your card, go wait, they're gonna open the doors in a second. Not but 5 minutes later, I barely started warming up the seat with my butt and the doors were open and we were ready to go. Okay, no boarding groups, no nothing. We were there super early and they were so efficient that we were able to get right on. So as far as like Embarkation goes, I absolutely love. Across the 3 that I have done, I have enjoyed their Embarkation. And I have done with the transferred stuff, that was super easy. If you're having trouble finding the transfer online, okay, it is under excursions for Miami day 1. If you're having trouble with anything MSC related, call 1-800-MSC for me. That's not the actual number. It's not 1-800-MSC for me, but it's something, 1-800 blah, blah, blah. You call that number. I have called that number on every sailing for some minor question. Let me ask you this, let me ask you that, let me ask you this. Can we do this? Is this an option to do that? Okay, whatever it is, they're super basic questions. I have always talked with a human almost immediately who has solved my problem, and I got off the phone in under 15 minutes. Every time. All 3 times I had to talk, all 3 times they solved all the issues and more. Like in this most recent one, I didn't have trouble booking. I was calling about something and ended up asking about the transfer, and they were like, oh, I could do that right here if you want. And I was like, oh yeah, do the transfers. And they're like, okay, what's your flight information? I was like, okay, let me pull that up real quick. Boom. They were like, okay, and do you want one on the way back? And I was like, yeah, let me do both. And they're like, okay, what's the flight information on that one? Okay, all right, no, you're good. You'll receive an email about it. Bing, email came in. You book your transfers. Thanks so much. That's not even when I called. And then it was done. So MSC, I applaud you for your customer service before and after. I've never really had to experience the after cruise. And your customer service on board's been pretty good as well. We'll get to that in a little bit when I get into the staff area and stuff. But Embarkation, I loved it. Now let's move on to the ship, okay? We're gonna do like layout and then like staterooms. So we're gonna kind of split all these up. So I booked an interior on this ship because again, $100 per person, super cheap cruise. We're just keeping it, you know, minimum as we can. So currently my job is stay-at-home dad / YouTuber. And I would love the YouTuber thing to gain a little bit of momentum. So we're trying to keep this as cheap as possible, do a couple of cruises. I can do more cruises for you guys, for me to experience if I keep them cheap. So I booked an interior. And I think because this was the first time that the MSC Magnifica was coming into the American market, it had just come off of the European season, and we were the third sailing of its now North American season. So the whole month of December, it was $100 per person, like I said. So $100 interior, and then I bought the internet. They only have one specialty dining on board, and I paid for it, but didn't actually get to use it, unfortunately. I made a mistake and thought they did lunch every day, lunches and dinners, but they only did lunch on Ocean Key. So I was gonna do it Nassau, which was technically our last day, and I went to do lunch there and they were closed. They didn't do it on Nassau. So I kind of missed that. And I think that night was Italian night. And so it was like, that's one of the main evenings in the main dining room to eat. So anyways, I kind of threw money over the side. I didn't gamble at all on this cruise. So that was my throwing money over the side of the ship. That was paying and not using the specialty dining restaurant because I'm a fool. But anyways, so let's talk about my stateroom. My interior stateroom I booked. I got notified a couple weeks before that I was actually upgraded with no charge to me to a balcony stateroom because I think they were so under capacity because nobody knew the MSC was really coming over here. It wasn't like this big to-do that the MSC was coming. It's a smaller, older ship that doesn't offer a lot of like the water slides, water park, heavy food options that a lot of these newer cruise lines are offering or newer cruise ships are offering. So they wanted to keep offering those cheap interior cruise rooms to get people on the ship. So they bumped everybody that had already booked in an ocean view or an interior up to an ocean view or a balcony or even higher. Some people that were in balconies got put in suites. So it was a super awesome deal. I didn't pay nothing and I got a balcony and I was starboard side. I couldn't be more ecstatic. It was great, okay? The layout of the room was awesome. The only issue I have with the stateroom at all is that the shower in the bathroom is a shower curtain that held onto me for dear life. I'm a big guy, okay? Cruise bathrooms are very small. They're also way smaller when I get suffocated by the shower curtain, when it literally whispers sweet nothings into my ears as it caresses me as I'm trying to shower, okay? Shower curtains do not belong in cruise bathrooms, okay? That was probably the only downside to the entire stateroom. Super clean. There was a massive mirror, which was very American Psycho, to be honest, right in front of the bed. Like, not even like, wow, it's just a full-size mirror. It was a full-size, three-person full-size mirror. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. I don't know what that's all about, but it was huge. It was nice. It was very clean, etc. Balcony was awesome. Again, being starboard side, I was over top of the island. I was really far back in the ship, which wasn't a bad thing, but I did wish I was a bit farther forward starboard side because then I'd be closer to the lighthouse show, closer to Lighthouse Bay and kind of the action. I was kind of removed being farther back. But again, beggars can't be choosers, and they gave me that room for nothing. Then thank you very much, MSC gods. That was awesome. As far as the layout of the ship, I felt like there was a lot of areas to just hang out. And for me, that's really important. There was a lot of, I would say, wasted space. And I don't mean wasted space. There's things that no longer exist on cruise ships. Libraries, card rooms, the like random, there was, what was that place? The Tiger. Next to the Tiger bar, they had like a poker themed room that wasn't the same as the card room where you could play cards. But there's like all these individual spaces that are like behind doors, which was kind of nice because if you wanted some quiet, you wanted something that was a little bit more secluded, you had these little pocket rooms that you could go into and have a nice quiet time with you or your friends, etc., read a book, etc., which was kind of nice, but at the same time, it's kind of wasted space. Nobody was in the card room, save for a few employees. I saw some of the people from the shows, the theater shows, in there playing cards one day. They took over the library half the time and converted that into a photo studio. Nobody was ever in that Tiger bar side room that I saw, but plenty of bars, plenty of spaces to just chill out. One of my favorite parts, they have the sports bar. Sports bar had some like specific beers that were kind of nice. They had this very interesting Italian beer that I enjoyed. And like that whole area you could hang out in. But then just outside of that, there was a quiet area to sit outside of the sports bar. And this kind of bleeds into some of the staff. They were always, like, I enjoyed sitting there because it was close enough to the action with not being right up into it. I may seem super extroverted, but I also love sitting quietly by myself. Very introverted. I can, hello my honey, hello my darling, hello my ragtime gal, when I need to. But for the most part, I like just doing my own thing quietly on my own. And I could do that. I sat on these couches. Sometimes I was joined by people. Sometimes I was by myself. But there was always a staff member who would kind of peek his head out, point at me. You good? You okay? Do you need anything? No, I'm good. He'd go back. A little bit later, he'd come back. Anything? And I go, oh yeah, actually, and let me get another whatever. And he was like, got it. I'm on it. And so staff was great. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But as far as the ship layout goes, I love the fact that there was random places where you could catch a breath. The next thing I want to talk about is like the most controversial part of MSC in general, the food, okay? I harped a little bit about the specialty, that there was only one specialty restaurant that I ended up not going to, so I can't speak about that. I can talk about some of the other specialty restaurants that we went to in the other ships, but I'm just going to talk about what's included, okay? So we're going to talk about the buffet, the main dining room, the midnight buffet, and some of the bars, okay? I like food, okay? I eat a good amount of food, and I eat all kinds of food, okay? There's no judgment here. There's very few things I won't eat. Lasagna, Facebook Jason, looking at you. Aside from that, I pretty much eat everything. And I always felt like I found something to eat. Number one, first and foremost, this is like my highest love of MSC. Their pizza is so good. MSC, best pizza at sea, hands down. I'll fight you. That's a hill I'll die on, a mountain I will climb, a valley I will. Ain't no mountain high enough to keep me from getting to MSC Pizza. It's the best, okay? It's absolutely the best. And I love the midnight buffet, okay? I think that is sorely missed on cruise ships all around, and some cruise ships are like reintroducing the late night buffet. And I love it. MSC does it. It's so good. It's covered in pizza and many other little goodies. The pizza's so friggin' good. I would say the buffet always had something on it. Now, I will be a little picky on this, and I will say it was very interesting to see beans and toast on the buffet for breakfast. Again, they just came off of a European sailing, and we were the third sailing in their new North America season for the Magnifica. Like week 2, okay? So they did a 4-day, a 3-day, and then our 4-day. So we were literally day number 8 of them being in America. I wanna be in America. Jason said there's not enough singing. He misses the singing in this, and now I'm like, I have to sing all the time for him. Jason, I love you, but I might cut the singing out here. So I enjoyed the buffet. It's very good. The main dining room. I personally love the sit down, serve me at a table. Let's like intimate talk with the friends and the family, the people that we're sitting with. That's important to me. It's not important to a lot of people. So a lot of people are like, oh, why would I go to the main dining room when I can just get it on the buffet? Totally understand, totally get that. For me personally, I love the main dining room. Whenever we're doing like a family cruise or like we're with a big group of friends, that's the time everyone comes together. Hey, tell me about your day. What did you have? What did you do? What was, fun and exciting? So to me, it's important. The main dining room is a like staple of cruising. But I come from a family that sits down and has strived very hard to always have a family dinner where we all sit down at the dinner together, and that's not everyone's cup of tea. So I understand how that can be kind of like lost, like, oh, they don't serve anything different, blah, blah, blah. Why would they do this? I will say that the food on the Magnifica was not as good as some of the food I have had on other MSC ships, but it wasn't any worse than any of the other cruises I've ever been on. Okay, I felt like it was just as good as anywhere else. I said this in the vlog series, which if you haven't watched the vlog series, I'm going to link that. Top of the description there is our vlog series that I worked very, very hard on, and I hope you guys really enjoy that. They did not have Eggs Benedict in their breakfast, which is like the first cruise ship I've ever been on to not have Eggs Benedict in the breakfast. It wasn't on the buffet. It wasn't in the MDR. That just blew my mind. That's literally like 12% of why I go on cruises is to get Eggs Benedict covered in hollandaise sauce, whether with the salmon or ham or whatever you choose to put on it. That's like, I am cruising now. I'm having Eggs Benny, Egg Benny, Egg Benny. And that wasn't there. And that was sorely missed. Comparing it to some of the other MSC ships, the Meraviglia has a fresh mozzarella bar. Seaside doesn't. Magnifica didn't, but the Meraviglia had a fresh mozzarella bar where they make mozzarella cheese fresh in front of you and it's just flowing, and there's like, do you want regular? Do you want garlic and herb? What do you want? Do you want a caprese salad? Because we'll make you, caprese salads as far as the eye can see. It was, oh my God, so good. So I do feel like there is a little bit of a disconnect across the fleet. Obviously, they can't have all the options because the Magnifica is a much, much smaller and older ship, whereas the Meraviglia is a much newer and a little bit larger ship. So you kind of have the two. One can't be the other, but obviously this one costs way more than this one does. This one holds more people than this one does, and this one has more food options than this one does. So this one can't have this without this being, So you can't have one without the other. Okay, Midnight Buffet, I already talked about that. The MDR, the buffet, they're all good. Shut up if you think MSC food is disgusting, okay? You don't, okay? Half the time I hear people, they're like, well, I didn't do this and they had such a limited menu. And I go, well, have you tried the fish? And they go, oh, we don't eat seafood. If you're a picky eater, then your opinion of the all-encompassing food of a cruise line is invalid, okay? It is deprioritized, okay? Unless you eat everything, then you can't have an opinion. Okay, that's just my 2 cents. Take him or leave him, whatever. Okay, this is where I get a little rough around the edges. Okay, this is where I ruffle the feathers. This is where I'm a little bit like the sandpaper cat tongue, This is it. I can't stand that. People that just talk for the sake of talking and they repeat the same stupid vitriol that they just hear. They regurgitate the same thing that everyone else says. They go, MSC food sucks. Well, did you have it? No, I've never cruised on MSC. I just know the food sucks. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about the entertainment. So I'm going to split this up into a couple of different groups. We will have the around the ship musicians, and kind of like you're just walking around and there's a violinist over here. There's a guy playing a guitar and that guy's, singing Motown blues. Then we're going to do theater shows, which are you went to a theater specifically for this, etc. And then we're just going to do overall entertainment staff for the dance parties or the silent disco or karaoke, people that were hosting events, that kind of entertainment staff. Okay. I appreciated the around the ship musicians. There was a couple of solo guitarists, both on the island and on the ship. There was the guy that was playing the steel drums, which I absolutely love. I love steel drums. And he was both on the ship and on the island when we were there at Ocean Key for the day and a half we were there. So I had a really good time just kind of enjoying the ambiance. You walk around, you grab a drink, you're sitting next to somebody, and they're at the sports bar just playing away, which I will say this, it was so weird. The sports bar had this like little stage area for musicians to perform, but the stage was completely taken up by a 4-man bobsled. So like, you're like, here I am, playing next to a bobsled from the 90s. Like, what is this about? I don't know. That was, like, I understood it's like a sports bar, and so they had like a bunch of memorabilia. And obviously it's not an American cruise ship, so it wasn't like, it's just football, you know, like most other cruise ships are like, if it ain't football, it ain't real sports, you know, like whatever. They actually had like skis from, you know, the 1998 Olympics or whatever. You know, they had a lot of like different types of sports, world sports, represented in this sports bar. But boy, the bobsled in the middle of the stage, not like off to the side, not hanging from the rafters, straight up. We don't know where to put this, just put it on that stage. So it's kind of funny, but you know, whatever. So the around musicians were great. I don't think there was anything to write home about. At the same time, they were just great background noise and ambience, you know. Theater shows. This was something I actually really enjoyed. And then upon talking to the cruise director, which I had a really long conversation with him, some of the things I found out about the staff really kind of opened my eyes and made me appreciate the theater shows even more. Now, I come from a community theater backdrop. I don't know if you can tell by my amazing moves and my singing voice that you've heard, no doubt, over the last little bit here. I was a theater kid. Born and raised, spent 15 years in community musical theater. I can sing, dance, and act with the best of them. So I have an appreciation and a love for the theater. And I really did appreciate. One thing what he said that really kind of shocked me, obviously this is a new season. So these shows are brand new shows, okay? And these shows, this is like the third time that they've performed them because these are brand new shows. And this was the third sailing of their new season. And when I was talking to him, I said, did you lose, you know, when you moved over from the European season to the American season, did you lose a couple of did you lose anybody? And did everybody just move over? He said, no, they lost almost 60% of their staff due to visas, because a work visa from there to here is totally different. And if you don't apply for it, you don't, whatever. And then contracts were up because it was the end of the season to a new season. So he said almost 60% of the staff that were on that ship were new to the ship, okay? Maybe not new to cruising in general, but were new to the ship. And that like blew me away because I never felt like this was a new crew. I felt like everybody knew what they were doing. But that just was really, really neat. And then, of course, the entertainment staff. You saw a couple of the parties that we went to. The deck parties were awesome. They were very encouraging. It was very much, dare I say, carnivalish. You know, it was very much, they were out there on the dance floor encouraging you to get in there, which is not always the like European style. They're more hands-offish usually. But at the deck parties, they were really encouraging people to get on the dance floor and dance and have a great time. At the karaoke, they were very hands-on. At the silent disco, that was a rager. We had such a blast there, and they were on the dance floor dancing, just cutting the rug as much as anyone else was. It was very cool. But yeah, I think overall, the entertainment was really, really good. So let's keep talking about the staff. Room steward, awesome. You saw at the beginning of my series, if you watched, I locked myself out of my room. My room steward was like able to get in lickety split. And was just like, yes, anything you need, let me know. Main dining room staff, our guys were super great, took care of us the whole week long. I mean, didn't even have to ask to get, you know, my Dr. Pepper delivered to the table or whatnot. They were on top of it. Bars around the ship were great. I never felt like there was any point in the entire cruise where service lacked, where the staff missed an opportunity at all. I felt like they were always there, kind of like I said earlier with the places around the ship. There was always someone walking around for bar service pretty much anywhere you were at, which I thought was awesome. I didn't have to go hunting for a bar, didn't have to go hunting for somebody to get me even a drink of water. You know, I mean, not just an alcoholic beverage, because I did not do a drink package. Again, I was trying to keep this a cheaper option cruise. So I didn't do the drink package, and I think I only ended up spending like maybe 40 or 50 bucks in like alcoholic beverages. But, you know, hey, I'd get a Dr. Pepper, I'd get a glass of water, you know, running around. I did ship tours and you know, was running around a lot. So, you know, it was nice to just have that like level of service. Now, I did go to guest service. I am gold in their Voyagers Club, and I don't think I synced that up before, which you're supposed to do in your booking, and I guess I just forgot about it. And so when I got on the ship, I was handed a regular blue card. But I love keeping the cards as like a looking through the tiers, you know, like climbing the ladder of their, what is it called? Loyalty. I like keeping the cards as I like climb the ladder in their loyalty program. I've done that with Carnival, so I have all of my cards all the way up to the platinum that I'm at now. So I wanted a gold card to represent this trip. I am gold. And so I went down to guest services like right away, and upon getting on the ship, there was nobody there. I was immediately served. Later on, after Nassau, I had a couple of dollars left over in my pocket that I wanted to put on my account. I walked right up. There was nobody there. Here's some money. Can you put that on my account? Yes, sir. Here's a receipt. See you later. Bye. It was super easy. So guest services, I never felt like there was any. I think there were a couple of times when I would walk by and saw that it was kind of busy. But if you waited a little bit, it usually died down. You wouldn't have any problem. So the next thing I want to talk about was specific for my sailing. It might not be for yours, but maybe it depends on when you're seeing this. The ports of call. We went to Ocean Key Marine Reserve, which is their private island, and the best private island currently that I've ever experienced. And then we went to Nassau, which I never thought I would say it, but I'm really glad we went to Nassau. That was a great time. I got some great footage from there, some really good time lapses, and I honestly really enjoyed their little shopping area that they have now with the museum, the Junkanoo Museum, and all that stuff. I really enjoyed that. I found that quite pleasing, and I would definitely go back to Nassau. So Nassau, welcome back to the party. We are so glad that you are back in the fold of the areas that we could go to. It's been a long time. You've been under construction for very long. Like I remember just the like last 2-3 years of just nothing but jackhammering noises and grinding like all day in Nassau. It was terrible. I remember having a balcony and I didn't even want to go out on the balcony because it's so noisy out there with all the construction. So I am so glad that they are done with that. Everything is really great. I love the little shopping area. It's kind of a mix between high-end name brand boutiques, then small homemade, handmade crafts, and like a little mix of both, and then like your random franchise Diamonds International type stuff. So I think it was a really good mix. I'm really interested to see what they do with that like stage area with the grass and stuff. There wasn't anything going on when we were there, but I think at some point they want to have like live musicians and stuff like that. So super interested in what they get to up there kind of things. Ocean Key Marine Reserve, I love that island. There's some people that find it lacking. And I don't know, like, I guess the question is, what do you want a private island beach type thing to be? For me, a private island is exactly that. It is a private, secluded, quiet island. Now, if you're thinking, I want to go to Ocean Key and ride massive slides and go to this water park and all that stuff, you are going to be sorely disappointed. Ocean Key Marine Reserve is definitely we're going to the beach, we're hanging out, we're lounging, we're going to the bars, we're going to go check out the lighthouse, we're going to have a nice walk on this quiet beach, on this quiet island, we're going to listen to some music. They have Bose speakers every 10 foot along the main path. And I swear to God, there's got to be 3,000 of these speakers on the island. And I'm trying to imagine the wiring that's happening underneath. and the amount of money they spent on these really nice outdoor waterproof Bose speakers, because boy, that's awesome. Anyways, yeah, Ocean Key. I love Ocean Key. I love the fact that you're right next to the ship. There's the lighthouse. You have the lighthouse bay you can swim at, which is so cool and great for photos and videos. But if you want to, you can go out to the rockier sides and go like snorkeling and stuff like that. They do have the yacht club area, which I have never experienced and don't know if I ever will unless MSC invites me out there or I get some ludicrous deal, because it is always super expensive and snooty. But they're supposed to be sinking a bunch of money into the yacht club area and around the island. I think they're sinking like $100 million into it this year, 2024. So actually closing it down for a little bit for some of those upgrades. So I'm really interested to see what they come out with. I personally love Ocean Key. I really, really do. So with that, that comes to our last main point, which is the debarkation process. I know there's been a few people that have had issues. Again, this is my third MSC across 3 different ships that were all varying in size and amount of people. And I would say every single time I've never had a big issue, okay? The Meraviglia, we got right off. The problem with the Seaside, we lost propulsion. And so we came in like 4 hours later than we were supposed to, like into port at like 9:30, which usually we come into port at like 5 a.m. and they do all the customs and they clear all that stuff so that we're ready to go at like 7. We came in at 9. So like us getting off the ship, that was an absolute bear. That really wasn't MSC's fault, aside from the fact that they lost propulsion or was losing propulsion in an engine and we came in super late. I don't really fault them for that. I feel like that's happened to a lot of ships, especially these older ships recently, where a lot of like Carnival cruise lines have had some propulsion issues as well. So I can't really fault MSC for that. That was a bit of a nightmare trying to get off because there were so many people on that ship. I don't think I would do another one of those seaside, seashore classes again. I wasn't really a big fan of that ship. I would much rather do the Meraviglia out of New York right now than do that. But as far as most of the embarkation, debarkation, disembarkations that I've had with MSC, they've been relatively smooth. I've never had any issues. I know that our friends P&B's Wide World of Ports have had some issues with like account settlement trying to get off the ship. And there's been some others that have had some account issues trying to get off the ship. I personally have never experienced that, so I can't speak to that. I've always just been able to walk off. There's never been any you need to settle an account type thing, so I don't know. And then of course we did a transfer back. I walked right out. We said goodbye to all our friends with maybe a tear or two. And I said, I'm looking for the transfers. They said, transfers right there. So I walked over. I said, I'm here for a transfer. And he said, what's your name? And I said, my name. He said, you're here. Get on the bus. So we got in the van and I headed right to the airport. And I was at the airport by like 8 o'clock or something in the morning. And my flight was at 5 p.m. So I Tom Hanks terminaled the airport for an entire day. And silly me forgot a phone charger. So I had to like murder my laptop so that I could plug in my phone to charge off of my laptop battery. But I also didn't have my laptop charger. So I just had to let my laptop stay on and run until it almost ran out of battery so that I could charge my phone so that I would have something to do that entire day. It was a little bit of a kerfuffle on my part. So yeah, that's kind of the wrap up. Those were like my review of all the stuff. Again, I will say I personally liked the Meraviglia and the Magnifica more than the Seaside. So I felt like this ship was really nice, but it didn't offer anything as far as like kids stuff. So if you have a kid that wants to go to a water park and do a bunch of slides and stuff like that, the Magnifica is not for you. Do the Meraviglia, do the Seaside, stuff like that. Personally for me, if I'm going with a family, I'm definitely going to go on the Meraviglia again. The Magnifica is awesome as well, so I would choose that if it was just going solo. And I think that you're probably going to find less people on the Magnifica than you would on the Meraviglia or the Seaside, just in general, because it is a smaller cruise ship that offers less amenities, flashy things. You will find less of those flashy needing party people on these, even though it is technically a shorter sailing. So if I would compare this to other cruise lines, I have done Carnival. I am platinum with Carnival. I've done one Norwegian, and like I said, this is my third MSC. So I don't have a vast knowledge of many cruise lines, but I would say that I enjoy MSC as much as I enjoy a Carnival or Norwegian. I feel like each of them have some pros and some cons. I feel like if you're very kid-centric, Carnival is the fun ships. They have some of the best kid stuff, although MSC, certain ships, like the Meraviglia and the Seaside really, have some really great spots as well for kids, the kids clubs and things like that. Magnifica, not great for kids. They do have some kid clubs, but like the outdoor activity areas for kids are severely lacking. They do have some like playground type stuff. That wraps up our review and kind of deep dive into my time aboard the Magnifica. We do have a cruise coming up in mid-February where we are going to be on the Norwegian Bliss, with NCL doing a Mexican Riviera, which is my first time doing that. So we're super excited. Katie and Madison will be on that one. And then my boys, Patrick from PMB's Wide World of Ports and Facebook Jason from Memories with Facebook Jason, we will all be smushed in the same room, 3 men in a tub, rub-a-dub-dub, on the Sky Princess. I don't think any of us have done a princess cruise, so we're really excited. It's going to be a little bit of a boys cruise, the boys to men cruise, or the men to boys cruise, whatever you want to call it. And that's going to be super fun. That's going to be in March. So those are what we currently have planned. I'm sure there will be more as the year goes on. But my name is Rob from Here Today, Where Tomorrow, and we will see you there. Bye-bye now. If you like this video and want to see more, please head on over to the channel and subscribe. And if you want to get notified, ring that little bell. We upload new videos every week.